Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Blitz and Glamour podcast. This is our third episode, and today we're just going to jump straight into it. And we didn't cover it last week, but it's Bill Belichick not getting a head coaching role for next season. And I think this is probably better for him because he's obviously been in a job for about 24 years. And can we see him sitting out now for the rest of his career? Do you think he'll retire, or do we think he'll pick up another job in the future seasons to come?
Well, this is his first off-season without a job since 1974. I've stolen Reef's start. I feel like he's
Reef
very
is
angry.
fuming.
Reading his Word document there.
That's going to be my only contribution.
Well, he was only interviewed for, was it the Falcons job?
Yeah.
There was talks
But he was heavily linked with that job.
he was linked with the Commanders as well, I think.
Yeah.
But the thing with Belichick is he doesn't really fit in with modern NFL calling in that it's his way or the highway. He determines every aspect of the staff, every aspect of the media planning, the coaching. GMs don't want that anymore. GMs want someone a bit more willing to hand over control to individual areas, almost that, bringing in football parlance, sporting director and analyst.
I don't know if I'm stealing something else off you here, Reef, but did you see that that Marlon Humphrey tweet yesterday, where he said, the tweet might not have been yesterday.
That
but,
sounds like a tweet of the week.
I don't even know who
Could be.
Marlon Humphrey is. So.
Straight into a segment, that is.
No, it's on the Belichick topic. He was basically saying, is he like the greatest coach ever, supposedly, and none of the teams with head coaching vacancies wanted him. So
I think that's just maybe because it wasn't the right time. He's a bit older.
Obviously,
so
the Commanders was free, but no one wants to go to the Commanders.
maybe it just doesn't fit their sort of time window. I think it'd be unfair to say that it's more of a. I think it's more of a them problem than him. If you get what I mean.
yeah, have you got the tweet up here, Cal? What's it?
The greatest coach of all time did not get hired out of 6 head coaching jobs open. 6 head coaching jobs open. Wow. I think that debate can be put to rest now.
Who
So
else is in that debate?
So he's saying he's not the greatest
Bill
coach.
Parcells. It's probably the obvious one. Don Shula. Who else? John Madden.
Yeah. John Madden. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's got to be up there. But
Did
I mean,
they name the game after him?
yes,
Yes.
they did.
Look go! In my eyes.
Yeah, but he's got. I mean, yeah, that tweet's got 5.2 million views there. So
I'm just looking at some of the stats now, and it's quite convincing that Belichick is, I think, third for wins, career wins in the history of NFL coaches, just below Don Shula and George Halas.
yeah, George Halas as well. Yeah,
Obviously the Chicago Bears.
but I think we've had the discussion before about Belichick with Brady versus without Brady. I mean, obviously Belichick's been around for however long. Like, if he retired, I don't think anyone would be surprised. People were expecting him to anyway. It was either going to be he parted ways with the Patriots, or he got fired, or he retired. And maybe he'll have a year off if nothing comes around next year.
He'll have a bit of a gap year.
Yeah, he'll take a gap and find himself.
Go travelling to Bali.
Go
Yeah.
to Thailand.
Stroke an elephant.
Could you see a world where the NFL kind of you'll see this like senior positions, the company will make a role for them?
Just to keep him around.
Yeah.
He'll always have something to do with the Patriots.
I thought that Falcons job was quite good for him though, because they've obviously got Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robertson as well.
Yeah,
but they've got a good few youngsters which he could kind of shape into some of the league's best.
They got a solid team, but it's whether he's kind of got the.
Does he want to go
the
through that
desire
massive
anymore.
rebuilding phase
Yeah.
at that age? I think he'd rather walk into a team which is already all kind of close to a ring.
Like
so
with the
he can
Patriots, he had a dynasty and he just had to keep it going. Really, he
Yeah.
didn't have. He had a quarterback, and as long as they had Tom Brady, he was going
We
to be
said
okay.
previously though how they were hitting on their draft picks because they were so good. They had to find niche little diamonds.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's good at. But I don't. Whether he's up for another rebuilding project, I mean,
I can't see it personally. At that
The problem
age.
with exactly the age. The rebuilding project, you've got to be in it for a good
4
amount of time. You've
or
got to
5
be
years.
minimum
You've got to be
3
willing
years.
willing to give up that time, and obviously is what is he 75?
And also like
Something like
the
that.
coaching durability is quite brutal, isn't it? Like if a coach has a bad season, they're normally out before
Yeah.
the draft,
Yeah.
aren't they? So
yeah, and I mean he never had a bad season as such until the last few years. So obviously he's got that leeway. Like, people know how good he is, but he's the last few years it just hasn't been the same really. Like,
The last few years he hasn't had Tom Brady.
yeah, that is true. But he's just looked tired the last few years. And I mean,
He looks a bit fed up. I thought he looked fed up as well.
He's working that stressful of a job at his age. I think there's got to be a point where he calls it a day, surely.
I think he's going to have a lucrative career in the media if he doesn't go back into the NFL.
Really?
Yeah,
I think he's the most dull person I've ever seen.
I think coming back to what Reef said though, they're definitely going to find a little job for him somewhere.
They'd have him for sure, but yeah.
It's like Tom Brady. What did I see about Tom Brady the other day? That he was going on, he was replacing someone on a big. I did see that. That's probably the most useless information in the world.
I think he was rumoured to have a job with Fox lined up.
And
it was a ridiculously high contract for.
It's like when Aaron Rodgers hosted Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Game show. But like Bill Belichick, he'll always have something in the. I would assume the Patriots, whether they give him a kind of stake in whether Robert Kraft wants to give him a stake in the whole team. I don't know if he would do that necessarily.
I think sporting director kind of seems because obviously he's kind of embodied what the Patriots have been over the last 24 or so years,
or at least some kind of ambassador or something. He'll have some sort of role, whether it's within the media or whether it's within the Patriots. But I can't see him coming back to coaching again. Maybe in a lesser role with less responsibility, but I don't know if he'd want to do that.
Reckon he stays in the NFL? Could he go to college? Or do you reckon that's a bad shot? He could.
It's interesting, but I can't.
That's
see
still
that
high intensity though, even though it's.
And with college as well, you're not really working with, I'd say, mature adults as well. I think.
True.
I mean, in college you've got
got to be able to deal with.
Yeah, the kids'
personalities.
Yeah.
And college, you've got to recruit a new class every year. I know you have a draft, but it's different in college.
That's something you might relish in, though. You know, an older guy giving away his knowledge.
Maybe.
You know,
putting his arm around their shoulders. You think?
Yeah.
And it could be a case, not just for the players, but if he goes somewhere as like an assistant coach or something, and kind of a young head coach comes in and he teaches them the ropes.
I'd assume though, as a coach, especially for that long, you're a bit of a control freak. So I imagine he probably wouldn't.
Well, yeah. After
I don't know him.
24 years of doing the same thing, you got to really start. You want it how you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
you
just
know
being
what
a head
works,
coach.
and you know what doesn't work.
He's been in the NFL for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. So
he was the Jets head coach actually for, I want to say, a week.
A week.
Yeah. We
hired him. Aaron Rodgers lasted. So.
We hired him, and then he left and went to the Patriots after about a week and won like 7 Super Bowls.
2 in a row.
So what could have been, you know?
Wow.
He was also the Browns head coach at one point, I think, wasn't he? Well, he was certainly on the Browns staff at one point.
He's been all over the league. Then.
He's had a lot of different places that he's coached.
Okay, so we're going to jump from Belichick to another coaching role, and that's obviously the Ravens defensive coordinator losing Mike McDonald, and he's gone to Seattle now, and I think that takes up the last vacant head coach role, and I think that's a big miss for the Ravens. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, they've had one of, if not the best defense in the league for the last couple of years. Certainly this year. I mean, obviously it was a big loss for the Seahawks losing Pete Carroll, but I think if there's going to be a guy to replace him, then he's as good a guy as any, from what I've seen.
Well, it's interesting that we went straight from Pete Carroll, how old is he now, 72, to McDonald, who's 36. I think he's the youngest head coach in the NFL. So the Seahawks clearly trying to reverse their fortunes a bit. And you mentioned that Baltimore defence. They only allowed 16.5 points a game. 60 sacks. Both those stats happened in the same season.
Yeah.
They were instrumental in the Ravens getting into. I mean, we'll talk about the championship game later and where that went wrong for them. But bit premature there, Archie. The NFC West is a tough division. This is the thing. The 49ers and the Rams both look quite stacked. He's going to have a hard job trying to coach that team into any sort of position of dominance. So it's kind of halfway house between a rebuilding job, but also trying to make them into the heavyweights.
I've got a stat up here. The Seahawks gave up the 8th most points in the league, 402 in the regular season.
Okay.
Who's the who gave away the most? Just interesting.
I'm not going to give that. I'm not going to say that because it's for a later segment.
Okay.
Yeah.
What could that be?
More teasing. We love a bit of a tease.
Where did Broncos rank?
Broncos are
that 70-point game probably puts it down a little bit, mate.
Just a bit, mate.
Broncos were 5th. They gave up the 5th most.
5th most, yeah. Not surprising.
413.
But going back to what we were saying about the Seahawks, I think if I had to compare them to kind of a situation, it's kind of like how Tampa are at the moment. Like, the Seahawks have got a good kind of core set of players. They've got a solid quarterback who is nothing spectacular in Geno Smith. Like, he's doing well.
What I would say on Geno Smith, that's going to be a bit of a dilemma. Does he start Drew Lock instead?
Oh, not Drew Lock.
No.
Not Drew Lock.
No, I wouldn't. I think Geno last year
I was going to say he
had a really good
last
year. This year he played
yeah.
solid. I don't think Drew Lock has got. I don't think Drew Lock's a better quarterback than him. We'll see how the season goes. Yeah, Callum can vouch for that.
Scarred from Drew Lock, in fact.
But no, I think they're. It's a good hire. I think they could be in a good position. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs next year. I think they got the offensive talent certainly. Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jeba, like Tyler
he
Lockett.
Wasn't great this year, I didn't think.
And then they've got guys like Tariq Woolen on defense as well. They've got some good players in there. They need to add maybe another kind of core defensive piece, maybe an edge rusher in the draft, in free agency.
Well, this is the thing. I think they're like number 16 in the draft. I think that's.
Do they trade up though? If they,
I don't.
Who's Bo Nix a QB, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do they take him?
I don't think a QB is their biggest need.
No.
I think they.
Do you think they're going to ride a year out, kind of go average, then next year they'll look to kind of build up a stronger roster?
I mean, I don't think 16's really a spot to trade up from too much. You might go 1 or 2 if there's a guy you like available.
Someone might also drop down a few, mightn't they? Who's a steal?
I mean, say you're getting to around the sort of, there's a player who you thought would be gone in the top 5, and you're getting down to 11, 12, and he's still there, and you really want him. Then that might be a scenario where you trade up, but it would be a last minute job. But I think, maybe like an edge rusher, someone like that, just to kind of boost that defense a little bit and kind of balance the team out a bit more.
I think it's going to start from defense. You look at who they've got at the minute. Safety, Julian Love. Defensive end, Dramont Jones.
Yeah.
Devin Witherspoon.
I forgot about
rookie cornerback, making the Pro Bowl.
Shortlisted as well for rookie defensive player of the year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Woolen and Witherspoon, that's a very good secondary. But you said about their defensive record, and I think 16 is a tough place to draft. It's literally in the middle, but I think they could do something with that if they pick up a good player there. Then next season,
free agency could be huge for them this year.
Yeah, and next season, say they make the playoffs with Geno Smith or Drew Lock, whoever. I don't think they'd make the playoffs with Drew Lock, but say they make the playoffs with Geno Smith. Get another draft pick, just keep building the team, maybe sign a quarterback in free agency.
Yeah. I mean, they could snap up Baker. Obviously, we spoke about him last week, but I think they had a mutual agreement that he would come back next season to Tampa.
Yeah, but I think he'd stay in Tampa, and I don't think Baker pushes them over a hill, really. I think he's a very good quarterback, and I think he played very well this year, but I don't think he takes them to like a new level, necessarily.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not quite one of those guys.
So we're going to go from coaching to players now, and obviously a big thing I saw online was during the Chiefs-Bills game, Kadarius Toney went online and took a bit of action to himself, and he'd done an Instagram live video saying that he wasn't injured, and he was quoted saying, "They won't play me." I mean, that's pretty, I wouldn't say shocking stuff, because they still got over the line.
Is it shocking in the NFL, really?
No.
I think it's the fact that, didn't they list him as injured? I think that's what the whole thing was about, and he's basically said, "I'm fine."
I mean, he guarantees he's not going to play again with saying stuff like that.
He's been ruled out of the Super Bowl as well.
That'll be his Chiefs' career over, you'd assume.
Well, you say this, just yesterday he actually made the practice squad.
Did he?
For the Chiefs.
Really?
Yeah, so he's back in contention.
Oh,
possibly. Yeah. So it was reported he had a hip/personal injury.
A personal injury.
Personal injury.
Not been able to catch.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did single-handedly cost the Chiefs that game against Buffalo in December, didn't he?
Yeah.
But
and the first game.
He did become a father recently.
He did, yeah.
So that
true.
probably does play a small part in it. But he's not going to help his people on Instagram like
that.
Hopefully he can hold his baby better than
I was going to say, pass by his wife and just straight on the floor.
Pass the parcel.
Mahomes is in the corner shouting at him.
Yeah.
Well, Jackson.
It's third down, goddammit, catch it!
Not Jackson Mahomes in the maternity ward.
Oh dear. He always pops up in these podcasts, doesn't
Yeah.
he? He always finds a way in.
He seems to pop up in the hospital, doesn't he?
His missus is like, "You're cut. You're gone, son."
Oh dear.
But yeah, I think it was. I mean, Andy Reid obviously knows who he trusts. I mean,
Yeah.
compared to last year, I thought Kadarius Toney played pretty well, didn't he?
I never really got the whole signing of Kadarius Toney for the Chiefs. Like when he was on the Giants, he did absolutely nothing.
Do you think it was more of just like a roster booster, like a bit more competition within the ranks?
Could be. I think he like coming out of, I want to say, Florida. He was this kind of speedster, like you're sort of Tyreek Hill build type receiver, and he's just never been anywhere near kind of what anyone expected of him. And the Giants. He was awful on the Giants. I guess the Chiefs thought maybe they could nurture him into something.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you wouldn't bet against Andy Reid creating a good player.
And I guess he's had players of that mould before.
Yeah,
like a Tyreek Hill, like a sort of Mecole Hardman who, fumbled it through the end zone.
Yeah,
and went from, that was also a weird one.
Maybe he just needs a bit of a jokester on the team.
Mecole Hardman went from the Chiefs to the Jets, didn't work out the Jets, and went straight back to the Chiefs again.
It would make sense though if
Back
you
to Zex.
see him as like a Tyreek Hill prototype, where obviously Tyreek Hill was on the Chiefs.
I mean, he's a little bit bigger
successful.
than Tyreek, but yeah.
Does anyone know how old Kadarius Toney is?
25.
Okay, so he's still pretty young. Like, you've still got a bit of wiggle room there to kind of.
I don't know, but he's wrecking his career saying stuff like that on Instagram Live. So.
Yeah,
I think athletes should just be banned off Instagram Live because nothing ever good happens. You know?
And the thing is, they can't even have a PR team to try and save that. That's out there as soon as he says it.
Yeah, they need somebody sitting behind them. They need like a telecast.
Have you ever seen Kai Jones's Instagram Live?
No, never.
Oh, I won't get into it there.
But I bet Tony's fuming the fact that obviously he knows himself he's eligible to play, but the whole team feels against him actually contributing to their success.
To be fair, couldn't Reid just say you're not good enough, you've been dropped, sort of thing?
Yeah,
why does
that's the thing. I think,
but I don't think they'd want that kind of cloud hanging over him at the moment whilst they're in the playoffs.
True.
Yeah, I think that it's the fact that he said they've listed him as injured, and he's come out and said I'm not injured.
Do you not reckon though that's a bigger cloud? Saying 100%. That he's injured when he's not, rather than just saying
throw off the team just before their
but then do you
biggest
think
game of the season.
Do you think maybe it's a case of like, you know how people are like, oh, athletes always just want to play, like say somebody's like they've like not broken their leg, but like say somebody's like injured their leg and the physio's like you can't play, like you're going to make it worse, and they say I want to play. Maybe he's injured his hip, they've said you can't play, and he's said I'm fine, but he's not actually fine, he just wants to play.
Yeah. Or he's kind of obviously he's determined to get that ring. I think maybe
he'll get his ring anyway.
Yeah.
He's certainly not going to help him get it. They're
think
better off without him.
I agree. I think they are better.
It's sad because he's got all these elite characteristics. Like he's got the speed, he's got the kind of agility, but he just hasn't done anything with it. Really.
You know how like I'd say CD Lamb and Dak Prescott, they've got that kind of mental connection, haven't they?
Yeah.
They know where to, they know where he's going to pop up.
He just has to. I can see him turning into a player who's just going to be bouncing around.
Oh
teams, like for 6-7 years, have an okay.
And the thing
career.
is, if the Chiefs do win it this year, then he's going to carry like a bit of weight on his shoulder. Like, oh, he's won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. We have to sign him.
Quick question: if Toney wants to leave the Chiefs, who do you think would be best positioned to swoop in for him?
I mean, I said this on our first week, I think, about Louis Rees-Zammit, but like, I think any person who supports the Panthers would want a wide receiver.
I think anyone that supports the Panthers would want anyone.
Yeah, true.
After going 2-15, I
probably take me.
They probably got a job centre plus and just like ask for a random bloke off the street.
Find the biggest guy on the street and you can play.
Yeah.
But I think like the Panthers desperately need weapons for Bryce Young. Otherwise, it's going to start spiralling out of control with him.
Who have they got at the minute? Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Is that about it?
That's how forgettable they are, though, the Panthers.
So Kadarius Toney, he was there last year?
Yeah, he's a Super Bowl champion.
And he did win a ring, yeah.
So, to be fair, that's going to carry him through.
But he's played 3 seasons. He's had 82 catches for 760 yards.
Yeah, but he only played 12 games for the Giants. So it's not...
It actually says 10 games.
If you look at like Tyreek Hill this year, obviously Tyreek Hill was incredible. But if everyone's saying he's got that Tyreek Hill ability... Why isn't he getting Tyreek Hill numbers?
I don't think it's Tyreek Hill ability necessarily. It's just a kind of similar
traits.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got the same archetype.
Archie, would you have him at the Titans?
Probably not.
Because
I'd rather draft a wide receiver a few ranks down, because we've got. I mean, I do want another wide receiver, but we've got D-Hop.
But he's not getting any younger.
Yeah, I know, but I think we can have one more year with D-Hop kind of nurturing our wide receivers. We've got Burks, who's kind of dropped off after that year he had a few years ago, and Kyle Phillips as well. He's young, he's quite explosive, but obviously we got the cap space for him. I just don't think especially with Brian Callahan now, and I don't think he wants a player who looks like he's not trusted within his organisation.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he'll be there on the Chiefs for much longer, but I mean, I don't see him he won't go back to the Giants, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals could do with another weapon, couldn't they?
Someone like the Browns.
Yeah,
I think he'd work on the Browns. I think
there's quite a few teams who just need that little bulk up of
a
wide receiver. But
Saints, maybe.
Yeah.
To be fair, our receiver room looks very weak at the minute, the Broncos.
Yeah.
It does look very weak. We've got
Cortland Sutton.
Looking at Cortland Sutton's end of season post, it sounded a bit like he was leaving.
Oh, really?
But nothing's been confirmed.
I mean, we're just kind of going through what I mentioned earlier about. I mean, any team who needs another wide receiver is going to take him, aren't they?
Oh yeah. We've got Judy as well. Other than that, we've got Mims, Tim Patrick. Right?
Yeah,
is that Marvin Mims?
Yeah, Marvin.
It doesn't scare you though, does it?
Marvin Mims Jr. Yeah.
That wide receiver corp doesn't scare you, does it? Do you think
No,
Kadarius Toney could boost that, or do you think it would frighten his own team?
I don't know whether Tony's the right man, but he is a man. So.
I think that's the thing. Like, every team needs depth. That's why I said the Browns. I think the Browns are a very good team, and I think obviously they got Amari Cooper, and like they've got okay receivers there. They got Elijah Moore as well, who's a pretty similar player to Toney. But yeah, you can never have enough good wide receivers. I mean, I don't know whether Toney really falls into that category, but he's a first round pick 3 years ago, so you can't fully rule him out.
Yeah, we obviously said earlier he's 25, so he's still got that bit of time where he can kind of be moulded into a good player in the league.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we're going to jump to the AFC and NFC Championship games, and obviously what a comeback for the Niners. I mean, that's probably the biggest momentum shift I've seen in a game since I've been watching the NFL. Obviously they were down, I think it was 24-7, yeah. I mean, they claw it back to...
Yeah.
The Rock beat the paper.
We're not coming back to this, are we?
I want it. I like the analogy.
Sorry, carry on.
To fair play to the Lions crowd, that was one of the best away sections in an NFL game I've seen in a while. And I think
the Ultras.
The Ultras,
giving it large.
Ultras. I think it's emblematic of this story, and you know, it is a shame that they didn't get that sort of crowning moment again at the Super Bowl, but
they'll be back.
I think they were exceeding expectations.
Oh yeah, like at the start of the season, you wouldn't not have had them to get to the.
I mean, they
the
finished
conference anyway.
Last season. They finished really strong, and I think a lot of people would have touted them to go far, but I don't know whether
not as that far. Yeah,
maybe not that far. But yeah, no, I think winning their division certainly wasn't a huge surprise this year. If you watched them play last year, I thought they were really good. But it was just the way the 49ers came out in that second half. Like, it was almost like they kind of forgot in the first half, and then they were like, oh, hang on a minute, we actually need to win this game. Then they just switched it on like it was nothing.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying last week, wasn't it, about how they just find that way to win. They
it
know
shows
how
you
to win.
Like what they can do. Like the way they just switched that on so quickly.
Yeah.
I think the crowd was brilliant as well. Obviously, we said against the Packers as the round prior that the crowd didn't seem very convinced that their side would actually kind of get themselves over the line, but this game was kind of different. It was like from half time straight away. It was like the start of the game, like clean plate.
Yeah.
It all started really well for the Lions as well. I mean, Jameson Williams just boosting through for that touchdown.
Away.
As soon as he did that, I said, I think I said to you, Archie, and I was like, I told you boys last week to watch out for Jameson Williams.
Yeah, you did, to be fair.
I think the O-line did its job. I think we were saying last week the only way the 49ers were going to lose that game is if the Lions outmatched them with the O-line, because that was the only area of strength they had. And I think early on they definitely nullified the 49ers defence.
Well, first quarter they went 14-0 up, didn't they?
Yeah, they started so quick. Like came straight out the gates.
Well, that Jameson Williams touchdown was there was still 13 minutes 18 left on the clock, so not even 2 minutes into the game and they already scored. So.
Yeah, they put the pressure on early, and at half time it looked like it was. I don't want to say it looked like a done deal because we know what the 49ers can do, but it looked very.
I was fully convinced that Detroit were going to be in the Super Bowl.
Well, even when Derek Barnes, linebacker, left the game early and Malcolm Rodriguez replaced him, you were thinking, no, never a good situation in a championship game for that to happen. And then he just picks off that long throw, and the momentum swings all the way, and you think, could the Lions actually do this? But it was the third quarter. It all started going wrong, and
it was just the swing. Like it seemed like the luck shifted as well. Like that Ayuk big touchdown that bounced off his back.
Ricochet,
yeah. That set him. Well, it wasn't a touchdown.
That's got to be one of the craziest playoff catches ever.
Those little moments just give you confidence.
Yeah, I remember as soon as it happened, I said.
You kind of realise the luck's in your favour then. Obviously, we kind of said that. Obviously, they're all out by half time.
But when things like that start happening, you know that it's starting to go
when things
well.
start going for you, then you just have that momentum, and they obviously it didn't go for a touchdown.
I
but
thought
they
Ayuk
from
was
the
class, to be
play.
fair. He had 3 receptions and his average was like 22.5 yards per
He's a
per
class
catch.
player, isn't he?
Yeah, Ayuk is he's very underrated in that.
I'm surprised they don't target him a bit more, because obviously he's had a solid year, like nearly 1.5k.
But it's just they've got so many weapons to spread it out to.
They do, Debo.
Like you could say they need to target him more, but then that would mean that McCaffrey's like getting less touches. It would mean that Kittle's getting less touches.
Yeah,
so
good old Trevor Kittle, as I called him last week.
Yeah.
Trevor Kittle, what a referee.
But the Lions didn't help themselves. There was a 4th and 2 situation where the pass should have been caught.
Yeah.
And I think that was another turning point.
There was a lot of drops from the Lions.
And I think the one that did it for me was first play after that Ayuk touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
They opt to run it, and Gibbs fumbles on first down.
Yeah.
And it's like, you need to calm the play down. You need to just take like 2-3 yard modest gain, not immediately give the possession back.
I think the thing that got me was how on 4th and shorts, I think I want to say it was 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, and they were, I want to say, 14 points up, and instead of kicking a field goal they went for it. And when you're 14 points up, like that makes it a 3-score game.
We mentioned that you have to be ballsy in the playoffs, but it's also taking a step back and kind of realising
you have to be ballsy,
you need
but when
to
you're
just conserve your lead. I mean, going 17 up still means it's a 3-possession game.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's being ballsy, and then there's having a 14-point lead and being sensible with it.
And also there's trust in your offense, and then there's putting heaps of pressure on your offense, and you need to strike the balance. And I think the Lions, with all those drop catches on 3rd downs, it just destroyed any chance they had.
Yeah, like you said, they didn't help themselves. But I think as great a coach as Dan Campbell has shown he is, I don't want to say he was the downfall, because he's obviously got them there, but you've got to kick field goals at the end of the day.
We said as well, didn't we, that Goff, the only way they could win, one of the key factors is him not turning the ball over as much, and obviously he threw an interception, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did you see Dan Campbell said after the game that he wouldn't change a thing and he'd do it again?
Yeah, and I respect it. Like you can't argue with his philosophy, I guess. But
no, it's the same as, I mean, not to go into football, but it's the same as when Ange said it as well. It's just like, do you want your manager to come out and say, we're going to stick to how we are? If it doesn't, it's gone well for us so far. It just seems stubborn then, doesn't it? It is stubborn, yeah.
Exactly. Like,
potentially,
he's got them to that point, and if it had come off, everyone would have said he's a genius.
Exactly. It just, obviously they were on the wrong end of the result.
But I just think sometimes you just have to kind of not even take your medicine, because they were 14 points up. That's not taking your medicine, but you need to just look at the bigger picture and think, hang on, if we just kick a field goal here instead of going for another 30 yards to get a touchdown, then that means they have to score one. They need one more possession to score. And if they'd done that, I mean, say they'd made the field goal there, then who knows what would have happened, but it would have been 34 all, and then it would have at least gone to overtime.
Yeah.
My mistake, he didn't actually throw an interception, but he threw the ball 10 more times than Purdy. He threw it 41 times, and he only ended up with 6 more yards than Purdy. So it just shows that.
How many yards did he have overall?
So
273.
273.
Yeah, and then obviously Purdy had 267.
Not the most effective then.
Both had a passer rating of 100 as well.
Purdy had a pick though.
Yeah. I mean, they both played. I don't think either of them played particularly badly.
I think, but all of that from Purdy came in 3 quarters.
It came towards the end.
This
but
is the other thing, that he turned it on in fresh moments.
He does.
That's the one thing I like about Purdy. Sometimes he looks a little lost. Like when you see like clips of him on when it's panning into him, but then in the big plays, he always just finds the right man to throw to.
He's certainly pretty calm under pressure, isn't he? But I'm just looking at this stat line here, and I think we touched on it last week, but we were saying how McCaffrey has what we would call a quiet game, and he had 90 rushing yards. I think he won
40. He had 42. So he had 132 yards
total,
and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
and like you would say that's a fairly quiet
90
game,
rushing, and for him that's by his standards.
I think
he was quite
last
quiet.
time we mentioned it, he had 130 yards and two touchdowns. So
Deebo Samuel here as well, 90 yards, 8 receptions.
What's Kittle
Brandon
looking like?
Ayuk, 68 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Kittle doesn't get used too much, but the problem it's the moments that he gets
Kittle
given.
always turns up in
the big
late
yards.
third and fourth quarter, and he just gets that big first down, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's always that like touchline run.
Yes,
isn't it?
It's always down the left sideline. When I think of George Kittle, it's down the left sideline, 15 yards for a first down.
Yeah,
he's always there if needed, isn't he? And that's
who's the Niners fullback? I can't.
Carl Juszczyk.
That's it.
Juszczyk,
You wouldn't think of him picking up 16.5 yards per reception.
Yeah. No, he had a really good game actually.
Didn't he just come out of nowhere and just catch like a 25 yard pass or something?
He's a Pro Bowler every year. He's the kind of only true fullback I can really think of that's still making an impact in the league, and that's adds to the 49ers as well. Like, you've just got guys like that who you forget about him. He had 2 plays for 33 yards.
Extra arrow, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You've got all these weapons, and then you bring out Kyle Juszczyk, and he does that.
I think Nick Bosa was quite solid as well.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. 2 sacks. Yeah,
2 sacks. Yeah.
Started to. Yeah.
I think we'll move on to the Chiefs shocking the Ravens. I mean,
was it a shock?
That's a bold
when you
word.
I was going to say shock when you got Patrick Mahomes.
I'd say
shock,
in terms of like on the media, it was a shock because everyone was convinced that Lamar was gonna kick this Chiefs team, kick this Taylor Swift team out of the playoffs.
I thought Lamar played well.
Yeah, what was his
272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick though.
The pick, yeah. I mean, you saw his frustration when he went over to the sideline after the pick, and I think
whoever throws a pass in triple coverage.
Yeah, it was bad. It was like that Jordan Love one from last week. It was just
there was no need for that.
There was no kind of reason to throw that, and we saw him go over to the sideline afterwards, and you could see them show it to him on the iPad.
The
Microsoft Surface.
Microsoft Surface tablet.
But they showed it to him, and he just looked baffled. It was almost like, what the hell was I doing?
Yeah.
The main thing I picked up on rewatching the highlights was the Chiefs in secondary. They were so much tighter than the Ravens to their men. The Ravens were always like Roquan. He's normally like, before the ball's even there, he's almost doing a pass interference call.
Yeah.
But like this time, the Chiefs covered their men excellently, and then the Ravens kind of gave Chiefs the few extra yards they needed to kind of just get over the line for the first downs. And I just thought, a team who's supposed to be playing that confidently look a bit like, okay, we'll give you a little bit of space, but obviously if you come near us, we will tackle you. It's not really cutthroat, is it? It's not like we're not going to give you a sniff at all. They kind of let them build their momentum throughout the game.
They just showed they know how to win in the playoffs again.
100%. Interestingly enough, as well, looking at the stats here, Travis Kelce was was Mahomes' most passed to player.
That diving catch was
unreal. Wasn't it?
Was so good.
Touchdown, 10.5 yards on average, 116 from 11 receptions.
We were saying in our first episode about how Kelce had a quiet season. And you look at his last 2 games, and he's had like over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in the divisional round in the championship game.
It's the ones that mean it.
The
games that mean
he's
it.
He's now overtaken Jerry Rice for the most receptions in the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah.
It's what the best players do, though, isn't it?
Show up when it matters. Yeah.
Incidentally, little question here: how many seconds do you reckon it took from Kelsey's touchdown for the TV broadcast to cut to Taylor Swift?
1.7.
No, a bit
3.
higher. 6.
Which
I think is quite high.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a while. I thought it'd be lower than that.
But yeah, that
They left a bit of a blank space.
Have you seen
in
all
there.
the edits going around?
Oh, I love it.
Have you
Are you
seen all the
stealing
edits
my
going
job?
around of General Purdy? He's the only guy who can stop Taylor Swift celebrating on,
Oh
the,
God,
on the field.
Yeah.
But
Vegas.
going through the game, I think Zay Flowers was. Listen, it was a brilliant catch for the touchdown. Good escape into the pocket from Mahomes, but it was self-sabotage. That taunting penalty.
Oh, that was bad.
Was brutal.
He had 5 grabs for 115 and a touchdown.
But
And he
It's
still
Zay
somehow
Flowers,
managed to.
'cause he was both their hero.
He still
was
managed
the
to
only-
lose them
he
the
was
game.
the only weapon who turned up
Yeah.
for
the
Lamar.
thing is, that gave Legarius Sneed the motivation for that tackle. And I got memories of, I don't know if you remember this, 2000, Kevin Dyson, 1 yard short in the Super Bowl for the Titans.
Yeah, I know the one you're on about.
Yeah,
It was hard to win to almost win your team a game and lose your team a game at the same time. But it was the fact that he, like, there was no need for what he did.
I feel like the taunting penalties are just a bunch of rubbish.
I agree, but if you know the rules,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, 100% it is on him.
It's like when, like, I don't mean to keep going back to football, but like when you get a yellow card for dissent, it's just like it's unneeded, and especially in a big game like this. Players of
I
that
saw
should know,
like,
shouldn't
multiple comments though about Kelsey taunting and nothing happened.
they? Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
did
wouldn't,
see
I wouldn't
that.
say taunting though, because he made them. They done unnecessary roughness on Kelsey, and he was laughing in their face. But that's because he got in their heads.
And
I think
also-
Baltimore were trying to be more aggressive onto them, and they just weren't even like making the Chiefs flinch at all.
Yeah.
Speaking of pass interference, Tramari Corner, I think there was a missed call on Likely,
yeah,
which cost the Ravens dearly, and I think it was.
Were the referees wearing red?
No,
Do you think?
no, we can't make
No.
those assumptions on an NFL
everyone else,
podcast.
everyone else seems to.
Yeah.
Everyone else seems
Well,
to.
all I'm saying is Roquan Smith, that push was just completely unnecessary when he just goes like a second earlier than everyone
that
else.
was crazy. That one I saw, the whistle hadn't blown, like no snap, no nothing.
It was just
And
frustration.
fair enough,
The
you're
O-line,
offsides.
the O-line
but-
wasn't even like prepped to
No.
kind of.
Fair enough,
get
you're
up.
offsides, but like you don't have to shove him for no. I think they just, they kind of were.
They lost their heads a little
Yeah.
bit. I think they thought they were going to come in and kind of
It
control the
was their
tempo
own
of the
fault,
game,
I think.
but
And I mean, Zay Flowers, like, yeah, he's a rookie, but you should still know better than that. Like, it's how obvious he made the.
and wasn't it
taunt
like
as
a
well.
minute later he
The dive.
the
across
dive,
the
the fumble,
And
across
it's-
the end zone.
It's because he taunted. He got that big catch on Legarius Sneed, and then
Lost
Sneed,
half the catch pretty much.
Legarius Sneed,
He pushed back
pushed
15
the
yards.
fumble
wasn't
out.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just stupid, and you could, as soon as he did it, you knew it was nothing good was gonna come of it.
Going back to the QB situation, you said he didn't think Jackson performed badly. I think he was okay. He completed over half of his passes, but that's not good enough.
You want about 60 to 65%, don't you? Really?
I mean, Mahomes was 30 of 39.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
Jackson-
We haven't even picked up on Mahomes.
Jackson was
have we?
20 of 37.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
all right, some of them are impressive. Like he caught his own catch at one point.
Yeah.
His own
That was
pass,
crazy
which was
as well.
ridiculous. But
And Mahomes no picks, Jackson 1 pick.
yeah, but I think the Chiefs' defense just did the job in the end. They did enough in the first half,
Yeah.
and then sort of ground out a result.
They
thanks
did
to
show that experience, didn't they? I
Yeah.
thought,
I thought Troy
even away
Bolton
from
had a-
Arrowhead.
I thought Troy Bolton had a really good game, Archie.
Yeah, Troy Bolton,
Yeah.
the GOAT. I think he was accompanied by Zac Efron as well.
He might have been, yeah. He might have been there.
Nah, Nick Bolton was class, to be fair.
And we've said all season that
Clear up.
the Chiefs have been pretty poor on that sort of receiving line, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling,
He's come up big recently.
He's come up big with
what a
that.
name.
Yeah, not an easy one, but
He's been so out the limelight, and then he just comes in
Yeah.
with like, because wasn't it this time last year he dropped that big catch, didn't he, in
Yeah.
the playoffs?
And he's shown so much more than he ever did with the Packers.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was young with the Packers, and he's still pretty young now, but he's certainly coming into his own and showing that he is a solid receiver.
Yeah, and you can see the trust there from Andy Reid compared to Kadarius Toney. I don't think
Yeah, for sure.
he would ever put Kadarius Toney in that situation to make that
No, I
big
think
catch.
yeah, he definitely trusts MBS. Like, he's certainly one of the weapons in that offense now that he would go to,
Yeah.
and he's come up big for them, so you can't argue with it.
What do we think about Mahomes' performance then in the game?
listen, that partnership he has with Kelsey is just I haven't seen many like that in
No.
the past. It's just instinctive.
Yeah.
There's like you know he knows if he throws it his way he's getting it, and Mahomes did what he needed to do, is what I would say. I thought he played well. I don't think he had a spectacular game, but as we've said, like, he knows how to win in the playoffs. He just knows how to get it done.
Yeah.
It's a different breed, isn't it?
I think I'm also going to have to point out Baltimore had 35 yards of total offense in the first half.
Really?
35. That is.
I didn't realise it was that low.
I know.
Yeah,
It's.
Yeah.
You're not
Especially at home as well. At home, it's where the crowd kind of boosts you a bit, doesn't it?
They had a very amped up crowd.
but you're not going to win playoff games with that.
No. More to the point about Patrick Mahomes. A little tweet of the week about
Oh, hello.
I don't know if you saw it, about the locker room and the inside the NFL after the game, showing him. He said, what did he say? Let's see. He said, "Yo, why they have to do me like that?" And then put hashtag #DadBod season. If you see him in the locker room, spin it around.
His physique is actually like.
It's a bit harsh to put DK Metcalf next to him, though. I think you've done him a bit dirty there.
Yeah.
I think you put anyone next to DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
But clearly,
I mean, it works for him, doesn't it?
It works for him.
Clearly, they need to take a page out of his book.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Brady's not exactly.
Oh yeah, you see Tom Brady's combine photos.
Someone said he looks like an aged carton of milk.
How long has he been aged for?
Yeah, God. And he did look about 35 when he was getting drafted. He's got the Luke Littler vibes about him. Tom Brady.
Obviously we've got the Niners versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and we're going to save that coverage for next week's episode, where we're going to go a lot more in depth. And we're going to move on to the NFL awards now. And obviously we'll start off with Comeback Player of the Year, and the short list, if I just get it up on my phone. I know Baker's in there.
Yeah, we got Baker, Flacco, Hamlin,
Stafford, and Tua, I think.
Yeah. That's right.
The
understand Tua being in
The thing is, comeback player of the year is such a vague term, because a comeback can mean all sorts of things to all sorts of people. Like, Hamlin is in there clearly for. He hasn't had a productive season.
No.
But obviously he has.
I mean, he had that Make-A-Wish play on the fake punt.
I saw his season highlights the other day, and they were quite short, shall we say. I think he's made 3 tackles, and he's had 1 failed fake punt.
He was always going to be included, regardless of his performances.
But if you think about the coaches, they're not gonna. They do. Do you think in the back of their mind they're definitely thinking, we can't risk this guy potentially actually dying, like from a tackle? I think you just can't even play that player.
What if he's already dead? Did you see those things last year when it was a thing? So obviously it happened. He was in hospital, and then I think it was like his first game back in the stands. He did some like thing to the camera, and there was conspiracy theories that it actually wasn't him, and that the NFL had paid an actor for a few months before they could cover it up.
Way.
Well, like an Avril Lavigne situation.
What's that?
Remember Avril Lavigne? She got replaced by a different one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's complicated, isn't it?
Or
I love it!
Oh, the jokes today have been class.
That's gone right over his head.
Did you get it?
No, I think yeah.
Oh, that is so
song.
poor.
She's got a song called Complicated.
Banger.
Okay. I don't think it was quite the blank space one, but
no.
It was still good nonetheless.
I had a few Taylor Swift one up my sleeve. Yeah.
I don't think we can fit Skeet the Boy into it.
I was going to say, I was thinking about that.
I did try. Just a second then, I thought.
When we were on the Chiefs, I was thinking a bit of the Lamar love story.
Lamar, see you later,
you said
boy.
the Jordan love story last week, didn't it?
Yeah, true.
Kelsey and Mahomes took the win and got in the getaway car. That's all they had loaded.
Comeback player of the year. Who are we saying then?
I've gone for Baker. I've got my stats up here for him. I've got 19 games, both including playoff and regular season, 4,730 passing yards, 194 rushing yards, 34 touchdowns, and only 12 interceptions.
Yeah, give me Baker as well. I was thinking Flacco a few weeks ago. Did that interesting.
This is the way he kind of covered for Burrow, wasn't it? Not Burrow, really. It was the Browns covered for Watson.
Yeah. Did anyone see what Flacco said about the comeback player of the year thing?
Yeah, he said he should have gone to Hamlin.
Yeah, he basically said for him to go out and even just play again, like to have the strength to do that, he said he was like, what am I coming back from? Like being old and being crap for a couple of years. Like
yeah, I mean you can see that argument, can't you? I mean obviously what he's done to be able to even play, despite even if he didn't play a lot or didn't do a lot, but like
it is crazy that even like surely you'd be thinking about it every time you played.
They love a little X Factor story though. The NFL,
Yeah, they
don't
do. They do. But I don't think that can be the comeback player of the year. Obviously, it's not. It's nice.
He hasn't come back
really
and
nice
proved
to
that
see.
he's kind of
If he had come back
level.
and been playing well, then you would have thought I'm playing regularly.
Even playing
playing regularly.
If he was playing regularly,
maybe.
they'd give it to him. But
is
he's not even.
Is this a who do we think should win it, or who do we think will win it?
Yeah,
I think
if it's Will, it's definitely
Damar.
Damar.
Damar will win it, but I think Baker should win it.
Yeah, I would agree with both of those.
See, personally, I'm against that because I think Baker. You look at him with Stafford, who none of you mentioned yet.
Mm-hmm.
Baker had more interceptions. Baker was playing in an easier division, and Stafford had 24 touchdowns, 3,965 passing yards.
Yeah, but I don't think Stafford had big enough of a downfall last year, like to be a comeback player. Like we all know how good Stafford is. They won a Super Bowl.
He was just kind of
3
mid,
years
wasn't
ago.
he? Yeah.
He had an off year, and then he came back and had a pretty good year. I don't think that makes you a comeback player of the year. Like going from not great to pretty good.
Had the Rams made the playoffs though?
I still don't think so. I still think Baker has had. You look at the kind of adversity that Baker's overcome, and he hasn't done much recently. I think having a season like that is, he deserves it for sure.
So we're going with Baker then.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. I
Whoa,
haven't finished my
whoa,
piece
whoa.
yet. Joe
Yeah.
Flacco. We're not gonna. He signed in December and he got 1,016 passing yards in 6 games. He led the Browns to the playoffs.
Yeah, the
That's-
Browns are a good team.
But it's the Browns.
Yeah, I know historically they haven't been, but the last 5 years they've been a good team. But
Well,
I mean,
And-
1,016 divided by 6 is 169 yards per game. That isn't great.
Exactly.
and he threw a lot of.
But you
picks.
think he should win the comeback?
Well, I didn't say I think he should win. I'm just going through the
Oh,
case
yeah.
for every player.
Fair enough.
We haven't touched on Tua.
True.
He actually did win the Sporting News NFL comeback period. So
Who,
all
Tua?
these, yeah, Tua. Damar won the Pro Football Writers of America one.
The hell is Tua getting it for? I don't.
Well, he
get
did,
it.
he did suffer concussion.
Yeah,
last
he
year.
did, but
So
It's-
did
it's
many
all like
people.
the
So does
head-
Antonio Brown.
It's like the head injury narratives, though, isn't it? Because they were saying if he gets another one, then he's going to have to retire.
Well, it's just the man just doesn't know how to fall down properly.
But also, Antonio Brown, the one's still playing, and the other one just beefs everyone on Twitter.
True. Yeah.
who'd you rather? I think for entertainment
Hey,
purposes.
in their prime,
I
give me
mean-
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I think this award more than any others is narrative driven. Absolutely, I
100%,
don't think this is purely
Stats.
quantitative data.
Yeah, it will be happening, and I'm not completely mad at it. I understand it, but yeah, I don't know if I'd go for him personally.
Realistically, though, as accolades go, when you look back on your career, I don't think comeback player of the year is really one that they look at. Is it really? It's not.
It's not like I doubt there's many Hall of Famers who
I
can
think
come back player of the year.
Wasn't it Gino who won it last year?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
he took a lot of pride in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
but he.
it
fully
depends on your
deserved
story,
it.
though, doesn't it? Yeah.
He was like the out and out. Like
Yeah.
Gino's been bouncing around the league for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Hasn't really found his place. Has never really played great when he did, and then he became probably top 10 starting quarterback last year. Made a Pro Bowl. Took
Yeah.
the Seahawks
If we're
to the
if we're
playoffs,
going
I
off
think.
that, then I think Damar will win it, and then it will be like a really emotional moment in the NFL.
Yeah,
on us, won't it?
comeback player of the year is the sort of thing you have on your business card when you pack it up and move to Iowa
It's
to
like
become a corn farmer.
It's like the most improved.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah,
improved
yeah,
award
yeah,
tonight. Yeah.
Should we move on to the assistant coach of the year then?
Ooh.
I mean,
You can do that
this is quite a short segment, I think, because
Yeah, I don't think there's
I've
loads
gone
to
with
do.
Bobby Slowick from the Texans, just because the fact that he took them from a 3-1-13 record team to a 10-7 and made them one of the most dynamic offenses.
Yeah,
in the league.
I can agree with that. And there's been a lot of
Yeah.
talk about his name as well. So
Potentially
I'm not
taking
mad
up a
at
head
that.
coaching position.
Yeah, I think in terms of the categories, it's probably the least important one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I think it's just kind of paying homage to people who go unnoticed.
Yeah. I
also.
think him and Demico Ryans have certainly turned that team around, and I think he's played a big part in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, everyone shortlisted Ben Johnson from the Lions.
He was my pick. personally.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's going to be one of those teams, isn't it?
Yeah. One of the teams
Obviously,
that
there's
have improved.
Mike McDonald, who's now obviously the
Seattle,
Seattle coach.
yeah.
Todd Monken,
Yeah.
OC from the Ravens as well. So both Ravens coordinators.
Todd Monken's been linked with a couple of head
And
coaching
then
jobs in the
Jim
last few years.
Schwartz,
Yeah.
defensive coordinator of the Browns, and the Browns were defensively brilliant. this
Yeah.
year,
He was
weren't
solid.
True. But I think if you're talking about teams that actually went somewhere with it, the Texans or the Lions have got to be the obvious
they?
two.
Yeah, true. Okay, we'll go on to the Coach of the Year then. And I think this one's pretty obvious. It's got to be Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Could be Ryan's as well.
I mean,
he
I know,
was my close second. I thought you boys would instantly jump with me and say it was Dan Campbell.
Whilst I will, but whilst it's obviously a regular season award, the last game has sort of thrown me off with Dan Campbell a little bit.
Yeah.
I still think regular season, you got to give it to Dan Campbell.
100% from I'd agree with Campbell as well. Obviously, talking regular
do you not
season.
think John Harburn, considering he made them the number 1 seed, or do you think because his team's that good, like that's their expectations, and he's kind of met the expectations?
Like the Ravens are always good though, and Harbaugh's been there for a long time.
True. Yeah.
So it's whilst he'd certainly be in the running, it's not like he did anything kind of out of the ordinary. I guess you'd say he's almost like a victim of his own success in that way. Like he's been there for so long and he's done so well.
I mean, we haven't mentioned Shanahan either.
No.
Another brilliant
coach.
coach.
Again, the same thing. They're always so good that you don't really notice.
Yeah.
See,
I'd agree with that.
About Shanahan, do you see that clip of him telling the GM of the 49ers he would see him on stage before the 49ers had even won the game?
I did not see
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, that confidence. Shanahan's my pick.
Yeah.
Purely because
Because of that video?
No, not because of that.
Because he told the GM.
No, I think I can't pick Campbell as well as Ben Johnson. Because I don't think I can pick the assistant and the coach.
That's true.
I think it's hard to kind of. I think Shanahan would probably come second.
Shanahan's blessed with more talent, I think.
But I think the problem is with it being a regular. It should be like including playoffs. I just hate how it's regular season stuff because you can't just discredit what he's done with his team in the playoffs to say that he doesn't deserve to win the award.
I think it'd be between Campbell and Ryan for me, and then the others.
I think Ryan's.
Do you think also just kind of like changing the kind of mindset of the whole franchise? Is that why he could win?
I think maybe in terms of if you want to go for the kind of Dan Campbell was there last year and he was improving them last year, and then this season was just building on last season. Whereas Ryan's came in and just transformed, like flicked a switch.
I think I'll go D'Amico Ryans.
Really?
Personally, I think what he's done.
I'm not mad.
I know Reef backed that shout.
There's a whole
of Ryans.
Yeah, there's a whole new feel to the Texans.
I'm not mad at that. I'm only going with the Lions because I think the Lions were a better team.
Yeah.
But I think Ryans has done.
They're both definitely going to be some of the most exciting teams to watch.
Oh, 100%. I think the argument that you made about the fact that he was building on what he had last year, whereas Ryans has come in and built from the ground up, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think that.
We haven't spoke about Kevin Stefanski either.
From the Browns.
Yeah, they've been. Yeah.
I just don't, compared to the other people on the shortlist, I don't think he'll really get a rep.
What, Stefanski from the Browns? You mean? Yeah. The Browns have been good for the last few years, and I don't think he's coach of the year. He certainly had a very good season, and I do think he's a very good coach. But I don't think I'd have him as my coach of the year for sure.
Okay, who have we got next? We got Defensive Rookie of the Year, and I think we've got some brilliant players. I think this is quite a tight award, this one.
Yeah.
Will Anderson Jr. from the Texans.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter from the Eagles. Joey Porter Jr. from the Steelers. Kobe Turner from the Rams. And then Devon Witherspoon from Seattle.
I think I'd go Devon Witherspoon personally. I think they've done it. They've drafted cornerbacks so well for the last 2 years. They got Willen last year and Witherspoon this year, and I think in terms of just solid play all year, I think Witherspoon's been the best.
Jalen Carter would have won it if obviously you can't take playoffs into account, but I think it actually still kind of counts. With Jalen Carter, I think if the Eagles met their expectations of getting to a championship with this squad, then I think he would have got in.
Yeah, and I think Carter's got so much potential. I think he's going to be a great player in this league, but I think this year I'd probably go Witherspoon. I don't think Jalen Carter's had I think he's had a good rookie season, and I think he's impressed, but I don't think he's been he's not been all pro caliber or anything.
If I run through Devon Witherspoon's stats then for your pick, 14 games, 56 tackles, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and an interception. That's pretty impressive in your first year, isn't it?
That's a good season. That's a very good season, and he's just kind of shored up that secondary even more. And I think the Seahawks can build on young players like that. Like that's what you need. You need young players on small contracts.
For me, I would have put Devon Witherspoon and Will Anderson. Those two are probably my top picks because Will Anderson, 15 games, 29 tackles and 7 sacks. And he's kind of made Texans intimidating as well.
I don't think that's. I think people would have expected more from him.
What more than 7 sacks?
What was
Do you think like double
number
figures?
3, number 4 pick? I want to
Yeah.
say. Yeah, I think you're looking. You're not. I mean, it's still a good rookie season, but it's not as good as we have seen in terms of like double-digit sacks.
From
like.
just because I had to pick a player, even though I've not been a fan for that long,
Mhm.
I picked Will Anderson Jr.
Okay.
Mainly because of the team success as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that has to play a part.
Yeah, true.
So I
He
went
was
with him.
important to the reason their record has improved drastically.
Yeah, that's true. No, I wouldn't be mad at that pick at all.
What do we think about the other boys? Obviously, Joey Porter Jr. and Kobe Turner.
Yeah, both very good as well. I think Joey Porter Jr. would probably be my second choice, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think you if you've watched a lot of games this year, you hear his name come up a lot, and I think he's had a big impact on games.
He looks like a veteran, I think.
Mm.
Kind of, he knows how to deal with the man who he has in
He's
front
kinda
of
got-
him.
I don't know why, but like his name sounds like he's a veteran as well. Joey Porter
It
Jr.
rings off
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tongue
sounds like-
nicely, doesn't it?
Sounds like he's been around
Yeah,
for
He's
a
definitely
while.
been in the league for 10 years. Yeah.
Ethan, you got
I would have went for Anderson as well.
okay.
Although maybe honourable mention for Brian Branch at
Yeah,
the Lions.
yeah, good. He's had a good season for sure.
But yeah, I think Anderson, what he did in maintaining that line of Stroud and Tank Dell.
Yeah.
I think Kobe Turner as well, I've got his stats up here. 29 tackles, 9 sacks in 17 games.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty impressive for
Yeah.
a rookie, defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. From D tackle, 9 sacks is pretty impressive for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems like we're pretty set on Devon
Yeah,
looking
I
like he's
think
going to win it.
Witherspoon too.
Do you think Witherspoon?
I think so. Yeah.
Mm.
Whenever you see the Seahawks play, he's always about, and yeah, I think he's been good.
Okay, we'll go from defense to offense now. I think there's
This is the big one.
I've gone.
Which one do you go?
I've gone with Stroud.
Yeah.
I think I'd go with Stroud as well.
Yeah.
I think he's had more of an impact on the team than Puka has.
I went with Stroud as well.
Is this going to be a unanimous Stroud decision? Because I've gone Stroud too.
Yeah.
I feel a Puka shout coming.
We're
from
looking at Ethan.
Ethan doesn't
I
look
don't
very
know.
convinced
I
about
don't
it.
know what he's cooking.
He's got Puka on his face.
I think the only thing people say is what could edge him over Stroud.
No, I'd
Is the fact that he's broken an 80-year record.
Yeah, I'd
of
edge
most
Stroud.
receiving
I personally
yards, and like that is so impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, I personally would edge Stroud. I think that he's obviously quarterback, most important position on the pitch, and
Yeah.
he's brought.
Not to be a stat merchant, but I think
Brought
they
the
do
Texans to
do
life.
tell the story. 17 games. Obviously, he was injured for 2 or 3,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
he?
29
touchdowns.
touchdowns, 5 picks.
5 picks.
5
is
picks,
just
yeah.
I mean,
crazy.
We're saying Puka broke a record,
Yeah.
or he broke multiple, but the amount of records that Stroud broke as
Yeah,
well.
like I said, I think I spoke about it on the first podcast. The percentage, touchdown to interception rate is the
Yeah.
best for a rookie since like 1963 or
and
something.
the most throws without an interception to start a career.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
And he only have 5 all year in 17 to play 17 games in your rookie year.
Yeah,
Like that's a great season no matter who you are. And
yeah, exactly.
I think in terms of the defensive players, we were kind of like, it wouldn't be like any of those would be in the running for like defensive player of the year. But then you look at this and Stroud
You
would be in
could
the running for
easily-
MVP.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think you got to give it to him.
I mean, we didn't mention his passing yards, 4,557
yeah.
as well. Like that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Tank Dell, and I just think if he was still there, he could have easily got maybe 4.8, 4.9.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then Nakua as well. I mean, I'll brush over his stats quickly as well. 18 games, 7 touchdowns, receiving yards 1,567, rushing 87, and then this is a little stat. He got 68 first downs.
Wow.
Ooh.
That is very impressive.
Couldn't have had one more, eh?
But no, that 68 first down.
It would have made it a Pukaki party.
Oh.
Do you like that? Puka.
Cows never look so disappointed.
We're loving the puns in the last couple of weeks, haven't we?
But yeah, I thought this 68 first downs was quite interesting because it shows he kind of got Stafford out the mud.
Yeah,
a lot.
got the
that's
job
crazy.
done. Yeah.
But I think the Rams' offense this year did look pretty good. I mean, I still don't know how Stafford's in the running for comeback player of the year, but I think he had a good season.
I think the
Yeah.
Rams, I'd use like refreshed.
Yeah, they started to
That's
look
the
a
word
bit more,
I
yeah,
kind of
sure.
use.
bit more like their old
they
selves.
had a bit of a
didn't
lull after that Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And then they've just they've come back and what's his name, Kyron Williams. has been really good. And then you've still got guys like Cooper Kupp there as well. Tyler Higbee, like they've still got good options there. I think they'll be set for a few years.
Honourable mention for Sam Laporta, maybe.
Yeah, he wouldn't. I wouldn't pick him to win it, but I think he's had a great season.
I mean, he didn't quite reach that 1,000 yards threshold, but 889, average 10.3 yards a game.
Who was the other two nominees? Do we know?
It was Jameer Gibbs.
Okay.
And Robinson.
Okay. I wouldn't give it to Robinson. I think not his fault. He's just underused. But I do think he's a great player. Gibbs, I think, has had a good season, but again, I don't think he touches any of the other two.
What do we think about a Marvin Mims offensive rookie of the year?
I don't.
I think
a few yards and kick returns as well. I know that's not.
Yeah, well, what special teams?
Special
rookie
teams
of the
rookie
year,
of the year.
Yeah,
I'm going to give my choice to Marvin Mims.
We'll give him that. That's the end of the debate on that one.
Okay, cheers.
Marvin Mims Jr.
No word for the man of the Giant season.
The man of the Giants.
The man of the Giants season.
Which would be
DeVito.
Tommy DeVito.
Danny.
DeVito. No, a bit taller.
No words for him. And his Italian agent. He's a mafia boss agent.
So it looks like pretty convincingly we've gone for Stroud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to our defensive player then. I've personally gone for TJ Watt because he's just like, he's always up there, isn't he?
Have you got a list of the nominations there?
Yeah, I've got TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Durham Bland.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good list, isn't
Durham
it?
Bland, I feel Durham Bland deserves to be in there.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think?
Doesn't he have like 6 pick sixes or something this season?
I think it's
Ridiculous.
5. It was
I think
5.
it's 5.
But I feel
Ridiculous either way.
I think other than the picks, which are obviously incredible, he wasn't standout.
But that's kind of like Trayvon Diggs was a couple of years ago. He had like 14 picks or something stupid, and but apart from that, he'd either get burned or get a pick. He's like the Jameis Winston of cornerbacks.
Yeah.
But
I've gone with TJ Watt because the Steelers looked deflated this year. I think they were very inconsistent, but
and they still made the playoffs.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
TJ Watt he was definitely the driving force that's kind of got them there. I mean, 19 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, a pick as well.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some.
Or did they make the playoffs? Or I made that up.
No, they did.
They did. They just got breezed past, didn't they?
You just push it to the back of your
It
mind.
was just so forgettable that I just forget it even happened. I at first I was so confident that I was like, hang on a minute, did they actually make the playoffs?
I mean, Crosby as well. He's always up there.
I think
14 and a half sacks, 2 forced fumbles.
Who led the sacks? Was it Garrett?
I can get that up now. I thought it was TJ Watt.
For me, I reckon it's between Garrett and Parsons.
Really?
Yeah.
I think what dampens Myles Garrett is in the playoffs.
But it's a regular season award, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was so off from what he normally is.
Oh,
He looked lost, didn't he?
But I think I think I'd probably go Garrett.
Myles
I think
Garrett
he
had
was just
14 sacks.
Yeah.
He was so dominant this season.
14 sacks, 4 forced fumbles.
I think Parsons is a great player, and I think he will win Defensive Players of the Year. To come.
Yeah, we haven't even spoke about Micah Parsons.
No.
Everyone knows how high his ceiling is, isn't
Sack monster.
it? Yeah.
Interesting nickname. But yeah,
Got that.
I'll get called that from time to time. Yeah.
Oh my god.
but yeah, I'd go Garrett personally.
Yeah.
I'd go Garrett as well.
For Garrett.
Yeah, whenever I think of Garrett, I think of that. Was it 39-38 over the Colts in October? He made like 9 tackles.
Yeah.
Forced.
Didn't he have
2 sacks, pass breakup, 2 forced fumbles.
But I do think Myles Garrett's won he's won a Defensive Player of the Year, I think, hasn't he? Before.
Yeah.
And TJ Watt's won one as well, but TJ Watt got snubbed a few years ago, so I'd almost be tempted to just give it to TJ Watt.
What I like about TJ Watt is his brother was brilliant, and he's shown that he's kind of got that little.
TJ's like almost. I mean, he's not JJ Watt yet, but he's not far off.
Yeah.
I mean, JJ Watt won that award 3 times.
He did, and was he the only person to do that? There must have been somebody else. No, it'd been like a Lawrence Taylor or something.
Even the likes of Reggie White and Ray Lewis only got it twice, I think.
Well, but I think.
Oh no, sorry, Aaron Donald.
Oh yeah, of course. How could we forget? But yeah, I think TJ will be in the running for years to come. I
just liked how he kind of carried them on their back. I think that was pretty important to
It's
them.
kind of those three, really, isn't it? It's Garrett, Parsons, and Watt are going to be that trio.
I think they're going to be always up there, aren't they? For the next,
yeah.
Well, I say for the next like 3 or 4 years, but it could even be longer than that. You don't know. Okay, so from defense to offense again, I think this one's pretty easy. You got to go CMC.
Offensive player of the year, is it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's him, McCaffrey. Him
And McCaffrey.
Yeah, McCaffrey
He's
and McCaffrey.
so good, he's two people.
Yeah.
He's invented cloning.
McCaffrey and Hill, I think, are the two front runners. Have you got the nominees up there, Archie?
For the nominees, yeah, I've got here Brock Purdy's in there. Oh wait, no, that's MVP. Hang on.
Yeah, that's...
I've scrolled too far. I've got Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he kind of finished off the boil a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson. CeeDee Lamb was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, McCaffrey, and then Dak Prescott, who you stuck to his word about not having more than 10 interceptions.
Got 9, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think...
Anything to do with the Cowboys, though, just kind of feels like underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, although
CeeDee
obviously
Lamb,
it is a
though.
regular. We've already said that about the regular season, but like regular season he's good. There's something about the Cowboys that they just can't get it done in the playoffs, isn't it?
It's been the same every year.
Every year, I remember. I think personally the funniest one for me was the 49ers a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
When they didn't even get the snap off because they were messing about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to be McCaffrey, and then I think my honourable mention would probably be CeeDee Lamb. I think he
I thought all round season long he was
Tyreek.
better than Tyreek.
Yeah, I think he finished the season stronger than Tyreek, and I think
He only had like 100 less yards, and everyone was saying Tyreek was like the
he's
best
the
wide
focal,
receiver
he's
in
the
a single
focal
year
point
ever.
of that offense, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about his connection earlier with Dak, and the reason they got kicked out of the playoffs was because they didn't really link up that well.
Yeah, I mean, Raheem Mostert had a 20 touchdown season. Like, it's not like Tyreek is the only weapon.
No.
Jalen Waddle.
I thought Jalen Waddle was quite quiet this year, though.
Devon,
I still think he
came
had.
as well.
Yeah, Devon Achan. I think.
Achan, that's the one.
I still think Jalen Waddle had over 1,000 yards this year, so that offense was firing. And while Hill was incredible, I think CeeDee Lamb he spurs that team on more than Hill does. Like, without Hill, they'd still have a great offense, but I think without Lamb, they wouldn't be as anywhere near.
Obviously, talking about those weapons, I think that's why Tua won't win the comeback player of the year, because his squad's already so stacked.
I think there's plenty more reasons than just that.
The resources he's got for him to kind of look above average.
He should be looking above average.
Exactly.
That caliber.
But he's bang average, isn't he? Really.
Who, Tua?
Yeah.
Bang average.
Oh.
I think he's bang average.
You're a Dolphins fan.
No, but
We
Yeah.
could
with
You
who
can't be slating his own QB like that.
we
with
could
who
have
he's
such
got.
a long discussion about that.
Oh, by the way, I went with McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Did you?
He's like top 5 in everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
got 20.
What did he go? He went 17 consecutive touchdowns.
16.
Games with
I
touchdowns.
think it was 16.
And he
Seven receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
Receiving yards 564.
Mhm.
Rushing touchdowns 14. Excuse me. Rushing yards 1,459.
Yeah.
So I mean he's already got over 2,000 all purpose.
And how many total touchdowns was it?
21.
2,000 touchdowns. 2,000 touchdowns. God, that would be a season.
Wait, what did you say?
2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. Like.
Yeah, 21. Yeah. His he only had less. He had less than half of Nakua's first downs. He had 31 first downs across.
That Puka Nakua first down stat is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that is.
Yeah, it is mental, isn't it?
And McCaffrey's longest rush was 72 yards.
I think you've got to go McCaffrey. I mean, I've just looked. It was 17 games, but like
I mean, I could just keep listing off stuff
you
that he's
could
accomplished
list
this year.
so many. Yeah, he just, and not even that. Not even like a statistics point of view. He gets the 49ers over the line so much.
Yeah. You
And
can
like-
rely on him.
Yeah, he's such a. And for the 49ers, for Purdy to be able to,
I guess. Yeah.
as a young player, he's got that sort of. He can be comfortable with the
Yeah.
fact that he knows that
But then I guess
if he needs it,
I guess
he's
it's what we were just saying about Tua though, about how they've got so many weapons there.
that's true. Though.
That
Yeah.
you take him out, and I don't think the
Does
team
it?
looks entirely different. I think they're a worse team, obviously, but
Yeah.
I just want to come back to Lamb. So in the regular season alone, 80 first downs he had,
wow.
1.75 thousand yards.
Mhm.
His longest reception, 92 yards.
Okay.
So obviously he's caught it and ran.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
yeah, I don't think that can throw it 92 yards.
He was the sacrificial lamb at times this season.
Oh, another pun.
But he had two rushing
Yeah.
touchdowns, 12 receiving.
And 1750 is a very good season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of other shouts from me. George Kittle.
Nah.
I'm gonna have to
Who
mention.
missed out? Who missed out
No.
from the
Yeah,
shortlist?
yeah, who missed out?
Trevor,
Oh, right.
Puka.
Trevor's not getting in mine.
Trevor.
You think
Trevor.
Puka should have been in
straight?
I think
offensive as well?
Well,
I
I
think
mean-
Puka could have been in there for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
his rookie status probably prohibits him from actually getting into that.
yeah.
I mean, Cooper Cup came back from injury early on in the season. But
Yeah, but he didn't have an amazing season.
he didn't have an amazing season, but he holds the rookie record for the most receptions and receiving yards.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone at the Rams expected him to be that good,
No.
really. But
think-
AJ Brown, at the Eagles as well, maybe. I know the
Yeah, I think the end of the season cost him.
but
True.
you know, when
Didn't they lose like 6 out of 7?
Mid-season, they were looking.
Didn't he have like
he's
2
probably in a
drug
good
tests
spot.
like 2 weeks in a row? Because he had those 2 games where he had like at least 150 yards and a couple of
He had the
touchdowns.
random, in inverted commas, drug tests that they always do.
Yeah.
When somebody goes off and gets 200 yards.
and Amon-Ra St. Brown. as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, he's had a season, hasn't he?
He's been quality. And all of these names, apart from maybe Kittle,
I feel gutted for
mind
St.
seeing
Brown because of the Lions, because he's quite a wholesome player to watch.
Yeah,
He leaves it all out on there,
Yeah.
on the pitch. but-
Even Laporta, I wouldn't have argued with him being in there.
yeah,
I'd argue him over Kittle this season.
like Lamar can be left out of the offensive player because he's obviously going to be mentioned in the MVP.
Mentioned.
What about
He might get.
what do you think about people thinking Dak deserves to win the offensive player of the year?
I think they're wrong.
I think Josh Allen's going more of a case than Dak, to be honest.
Is he in the MVP running though?
Didn't Josh Allen have like 50 touchdowns this year?
He did.
Yeah, he had a good season,
He
even
did.
despite a bit of the.
It was that
Bill-
7-game win streak where they were just pummeling teams, wasn't it?
They had a bit of a lull, didn't they?
Yeah.
mid-season?
After the Jets beat them in week 1.
I guess you could actually make an argument that Prescott could be comeback because what was it?
True.
Did he have the most interceptions in the league last
I know, but
season?
he was still playing all year, wasn't he?
that's
And
the
I
thing.
think
I don't
Dak-
think he's got a.
Dak is either really good or really bad. Like I think he just he's very streaky.
Consistently inconsistent.
Do you think
Exactly,
he's a bit- do you
that's
think
the
he's
perfect way to describe
purple
it.
patch kind of?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
When he's on his game,
It's like Marcus Rashford.
I was
Definitely.
just going to say he's the Marcus
We
Yeah,
have,
sorry, I'm
I don't think
we're
we've,
stealing
I don't
all
think
your
we've
quotes
spoke
today,
about Tyreek Hill enough, to be honest, because
true. We haven't done.
everyone was
So have we?
pipping him to break the record for the most
Yeah.
receiving yards.
Well, he almost had 2,000, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did get injured towards the end of the season a bit, didn't he? And he slowed down as
He,
well.
he was playing on that injury as well, wasn't it? Which is kind
Mhm.
of harming his efficiency.
Yeah, I think he's. We have kind of forgotten about him a little bit because of the end of the season, but he still had an amazing season. But again, it's the kind of thing we come to expect it from him.
One yard shy of 1.8 thousand.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, we come to expect those sort of numbers from him, especially on the Dolphins now, where he's
Yeah.
kind of the main receiver anyway. But yeah, I don't think there's much more to say on him really. Like we all know how good he is, and we all saw how great a season he had. But I personally wouldn't have him as my offensive player.
So,
of the year.
I've gone. Oh wait, sorry.
I was just going to say, going back to the Josh Allen shout from Ethan, 18 picks this season. Just an interesting stat,
It's
which
not awful.
it's
yeah.
it's not. It just shows a
But
slight.
that's always been his issue, though, hasn't it? Turnovers.
It has. And I mean,
I bet he'd have about 5 fumbles as well, probably.
7.
7. Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's just. I think that's obviously, without stating the obvious, that's the area of his game that needs to change. Just a bit more care and possession.
How many touchdowns did he end up with?
Ended up with 29 regular season, and in the playoffs he's had 4.
How many rushing did he have? Did that include rushing?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Does it?
Doesn't say.
Does it not say on there? Okay,
No, it doesn't
that's
say.
fine. Still, 29 touchdowns is still
Still a good
impressive.
season.
Yeah.
Still a good season.
And that's regular season.
But as
Yeah.
a passer, 29 touchdowns and 18 picks isn't amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty average season, but he had a lot of rushing touchdowns as well.
So I've gone with CMC. I think
Yeah.
that's the
I think
he's
it's pretty
going to win it.
unanimous, Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that unanimous?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
it sounds
And
right.
okay, we'll move on to the final one, the MVP.
Ooh.
MVP, Josh Allen's in the MVP. He's been
Mhm.
shortlisted.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey,
Mhm.
Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy.
No Mahomes.
I think Mahomes' receivers let him down more than
I don't think
he
Mahomes
was
had
poor.
an MVP season.
No.
Yeah, but he has taken his team to a Super Bowl.
But they don't take that into account.
Regular
do they?
season.
We've
isn't it?
said that like so many times.
No, it's the same.
Hard to not like.
It's the same across all of these sports. Like the
Yeah,
NBA
yeah.
has the same
Yeah.
issues because I feel like they should either do the awards including the playoffs
Mhm. Do a separate one or something.
or just do it before the playoffs start because it'll
Yeah,
avoid
yeah.
all of this happening.
Bias, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think
Yeah,
The
you
pro-
finish the regular season,
the
then you
problem
vote
is
on it.
the problem is though. I think the idea of it is that it doesn't have the end of the season outweighing the actual season, doesn't it?
Mm.
But yeah, I think you've almost got to take it into account because well, it doesn't end there, does it? If you're doing the of the year,
Mm.
it should be both. But
Yeah, it's still. I mean, everyone has been saying for months now that it's going to be Lamar.
yeah, so just run through that MVP list again.
So it was Josh Allen,
Mm.
Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy. I'm gonna put a bit of props on Brock Purdy in the regular season. 16 games, 31 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 4,280 yards,
Mm.
11 interceptions.
I do rate him highly, but I think
I rate Brock's ability to kind of at the heart on like a really hard like third down, third and
Yeah.
long. He
I-
always makes it. He always finds
I love
the
the
right
way
man.
he manages to escape the pocket and
His
Yeah.
decision making in key moments is brilliant. I think
oh yeah, especially
It's-
for a young.
he's
a
very
young QB.
very instinctive. I think
He's good to watch. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He is very instinctive.
Yeah.
He seems to find the plays when he needs to. I think I do like Purdy.
I think I'd discount him from the
but I don't think he's an MVP.
the MVP shout.
No.
Though. I think the weapons
he's had
around
a brilliant
him.
year.
I get-
though.
I get
think-
why
I
he's
think
in
he's
there.
had a very
yeah,
good year.
100%.
I'm not arguing with him being nominated.
What
but
do you think if you had
there's
like?
no well where
What
he
do you think
wins
if
it.
you had like 7 or 8 picks? Do you think that would
Nah,
come into it?
no, I don't think so. I think Lamar is still the clear favourite.
Yeah.
With Purdy, I think it's kind of impressive in a way. He had a long period in that middle of the regular season where he wasn't really operating, and
They had
he
a
was-
little blip, didn't they? I think it was it 3 or 4 games where they just looked.
They just got shut down.
Yeah.
But I think in a way that's actually more impressive of a player to come out the other side of
yeah,
that.
that's yeah.
And I think that could potentially bolster your case. But can you take it from Lamar really?
I think it's going to be hard to, isn't it?
I don't think you can. I mean, disregard the
he had
playoffs.
800. Lamar had 821 rushing yards. I mean, that's more than
Mental.
most
Yeah.
running backs, isn't it?
Yeah, but
And he only
he's got
threw
the passing game to back it up as well.
He threw 7 interceptions, so 2 more than Stroud. And we were saying Stroud for having 5
Yeah.
interceptions.
Is Stroud not in the list?
No, he's not on the list, and
I
I
mean,
think he should be
really?
in there.
I
He's
think
getting
that's-
to
that's
dual.
harsh.
He's getting to dual threat levels that are like never really.
Yeah.
Unless you talking like Michael Vick or like Steve Young, but like.
Russell Wilson.
always
Do
gotta
you
drop a
think
name in
though
there.
the fact that he's running the ball so much, he'll have a shorter shelf life because he's taking hits?
Potentially.
Yeah,
That's
potentially.
possible. It's also a much riskier strategy, and it opens you up to defenses targeting you.
But I think they have balanced it out a bit now.
Yeah.
I think he's passing more, and I think he's passing better than he has ever.
Yeah, I seem to notice that towards the end of
He
the
looks
season.
like he's matured a little bit.
He's
I
making
think.
throws now
Yeah.
that are like wow. Whereas before
Yeah.
he was a
Yeah.
good quarterback, but his run game was so good that he kind of got away with it.
100%.
And
I mean-
like he'd get 1,000 yards rushing, and you'd be
He
like
had
wow,
just-
and then you forget he's a quarterback.
He had just under 3.7 throwing yards, which isn't obviously like 5 or 600 less than Brock, but
It's just
I mean,
it's just
he's
the way he
rushing,
can
like-
hurt you in both ways.
yeah.
It's so difficult to defend.
What was it, 8 yards per attempt?
Yeah,
Really.
that's
I saw a thing saying that in his draft combine he refused to do the 40-yard dash because he knew if he did it they'd want him as a running back, not a quarterback.
Oh, really?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, he won a Heisman at Louisville, and then he didn't. He was still, I think he was still a sophomore then, and then he came in as a senior to the draft, and he got drafted like end of the first round, which was surprising, especially to Baltimore when they had Joe Flacco anyway, and he just tore it up.
I think this was a big year for Lamar in terms of obviously coming back from those injuries he's had, and he's kind of shown that he can compete at the very top level. It's just like getting over that kind of little hill where obviously they came against the Chiefs and they're obviously hard to beat in the playoffs. I think if he beat them once, I mean, I think if they beat them, then they definitely would have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, like we talked about earlier, they brought it upon themselves really, and it's still a very young team. The Ravens, the kind of core of that offense, especially. So if they, I mean, we know how good they are historically every year, so they'll be back for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get to the championship game again next year, and
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if they win it.
Also, using that Tyreek principle of being sort of instrumental in every play, I don't think there was a quarterback who had more of an onus put on him this year than Lamar. I think the amount of runs that were specifically designed for Lamar.
And to think that he was a free agent and nobody wanted him.
I think that's credit to his coaches, though, realising what his core strengths are and applying it to the game.
It would be easy to misuse that. It would be easy to sort of, deploy him more as a rusher than a passer. But you have to have that combination.
Yeah.
He's clearly good with his accuracy.
Yeah.
He's clearly good with his targeting. Touchdown to interception ratio was 24-7. We did touch on that earlier, I think, didn't we?
I think it's just a question now, like, he's been in the league long enough, he's been coached well, and they've figured out what works best for him, and he's matured as well.
What they need now is him to sustain those numbers next year, don't they?
That's going to be difficult.
And I don't see why he won't.
I mean, he's got everything around him to prosper like that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So are we unanimous with Lamar?
I am. I think we'll quickly run back through the awards, and then what we do need to talk about is our records from the championship games, because obviously we done our predictions, didn't we? So we've gone Baker for comeback.
Yep.
Bobby Slowick from the Texans.
Yep.
Dan Campbell from the Lions. Does that one sound pretty unanimous?
What was that? I went Ryan's.
Yeah, I went Ryan's as well.
What did you go with? You went Ryan's, didn't you, Ethan?
I think I did.
Okay, so we've gone Ryan's for the coach of the year. Defensive rookie, Devon Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Offensive rookie, Stroud, unanimous. We'll quickly go past that one. I've gone TJ Watt, but I think 3 of you picked Myles Garrett, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and then offensive player, CMC, again.
Yeah.
No one's going to question that, and then Lamar. So the records we had, I picked the Lions to win, and then I picked the Chiefs as well, so I only got one right.
I got one right. I went Ravens.
You went Ravens, didn't you? Yeah. Dylan, you went Chiefs and...
I went Chiefs and Lions, so I was 1-1.
Yeah.
I picked 49ers and Ravens, so I went 1-1 as well.
No score.
Oh my god.
Was it?
I went for the Ravens and the Lions.
I think we all wanted a bit of like an underdog story to kind of...
Yeah.
I really wanted the Lions to win, and then I would have been 6-0 on my predictions.
That's the first time now in 3 years, isn't it, that the Super Bowl colours haven't been the two teams which
The
create
theory is gone.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I picked my choices on that.
All I'm saying, I can't believe I wasted all of that Edgar Allan Poe literary wisdom.
Have you got any philosophy for us before we end it off?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll finish with a philosophical quote.
Can we have some sort of philosophical... Yeah, or a quote, an inspirational quote for our listeners to carry on their day?
If you want to succeed in life, you've just got to keep listening to the pod, I think.
What about the classic Cal the Dragon, never believe you're good enough?
Never believe you're good enough. To be honest, I think Archie's quote was actually from Socrates, wasn't it?
Well, the Brazilian footballer.
No, not the doctor, no.
So we were going to do some trivia, but we've run out of time, I'm afraid. So we're going to cover that next week in our Super Bowl special, and we'll do that at the end.
It's going to be a longer one next week, I think.
Yeah.
Next week.
That'll be a good one, though.
And, okay, so we'll end it there. Thanks for listening, everyone who obviously tuned in. And be sure to leave reviews, comments, likes, and give us any feedback of what you think we can do to improve on the pod. Any suggestions for little snippets of content to do.
Anything,
Yeah. So thanks everyone. And
make sure you follow us on Friends Reunited.
Yeah, that's it. We always need to add in an old app.
Yeah, a plug. Yeah, X.
Add my
Instagram,
BBM.
I just wanted to say as
add
well.
My Mushy Monsters account.
Our second episode did go up yesterday, and we just had a bit of technical difficulties actually getting it onto Spotify.
Hopefully this one will be up. Quicker.
This one should be up straight after we record this, which is on Friday. Yeah. So thanks for listening, everyone, and stay tuned for next week where we're going to have a nice big episode of the Super Bowl.
A Super Bowl bumper episode.
A bumper bowl.
We're going to Vegas, baby. No, we're not.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
We're going to Vegas, baby.
Join us live from the stadium.
And enjoy the Pro Bowl this weekend, everyone.
Oh, God, yeah.
Is that it then?